What up everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Guys, today's video is one I am super excited about. By the title of the video, you guys already know what is going down today. I had the honor and privilege of interviewing one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, TJ Perkins. Guys, oh my Lanta. Oh my damn. Guys, Starstruck, it's real. It is real, guys. You guys will see in the beginning of the video, I got starstruck pretty quickly, and I'm like, because again, guys, like I love wrestling, guys. So when I first saw TJ Perkins, it was in WWE in 2016 when he won the Cruiserweight Classic, and he had some of the best wrestling matches that I've ever seen in my 16 years of watching wrestling. Like, I constantly go back and watch his matches during that time. So guys, yeah, and ever since then I've been a big fan of his. So what, 4 years of being a fan of his? And I never even would have imagined that, one, I would get to meet him, and two, that I would get to have an hour-long conversation with him. Like, I mean, I'm 22, but I felt like a little kid meeting his hero. And I actually tell him that, like, let me just apologize for all the times I constantly tell him, like, hey man, thank you so much for this, because I mean, I was starstruck, and I didn't want to be a kiss up or anything like that, but I wanted to let him know, like, yo, like, again, going back to what I said, I'm a kid meeting his hero, so of course I'm gonna tell him, like, hey man, like, you're one of my favorite wrestlers, man. You're freaking awesome, man. Like, dude, like, you're the man. You know what I mean, man. Like, I didn't want to be a kiss up or anything, but but I'll let you guys be the judge of that. I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna call me a kiss up when you guys see this. Before we get started with this, guys, if you guys want to listen to this conversation instead of watching this video, it is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. There will be links in the description for you guys to check out. If you guys are coming from TJ's fan base, my name is Rodrigo, aka Roddy Blaze, and I hope you stick around. So once again, guys, this was a dream come true for me, guys. Honestly, this is something that I will literally never forget as long as I live, guys, because it's crazy. Like, I have a picture of TJ up on my wall. I even tell him straight up, like, dude, like, you're one of my favorites, man. So I got your picture up on my wall, man, along with other pictures of wrestlers. And one more little thing before we get into this, I gotta thank the person who is honestly the reason this even happened, and that is Nicole, aka Nina. If you guys remember, I actually interviewed her, I want to say like a month back. I think it's been a month. A while back, I interviewed Nina. I didn't even know that she knew TJ until I was doing my research while I was interviewing Nina, and then that's when I found out that she knows him. So I reached out to Nina and I told her, I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't really like asking for favors like this, but is there any possible way you can get me in touch with TJ Perkins? Because I would really love to interview him. And Nina, being the awesome person that she is, she made it happen, and I was able to talk to TJ and set this interview up. So a big thank you to Nicole, aka Nina. Again, Nina, I freaking love you. This would not have been possible without you, so thank you so much. All right, guys, so without further ado, please excuse all my fanboyish coming out during this interview, but I try to keep it cool most of the time. Guys, without further ado, here's the interview with TJ Perkins. Enjoy. Woo! All right, what's going on, TJ?
Going pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing good, dude. My bad, man. I'm starstruck right now, man. I am starstruck right now.
No worries.
Yeah, dude. So my apologies for this interview, man. I am starstruck, dude. First, I just want to say, dude, I am such a big fan of yours, man. They say never meet your heroes, but those people are wrong, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for reaching out. God, I know there are so many different names, but Nicole, she always says that she said she had such good things to say about you, and was like, hey, don't miss this guy's message. So I want to make sure to look for it. So I'm glad that you reached out. So
yeah,
it's my pleasure, man. It's really nice to meet you virtually.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, when I first became a fan of you, I mean, obviously I always wanted to meet you, but I'll be honest, this isn't exactly how I pictured meeting you, but hey, I'll take it. You know what I mean?
No worries,
I always pictured meeting you in person, but like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, you know what I mean?
You know, honestly, it's in a way, it's probably better this way, because a lot of times I don't get a lot of time to really connect to people when I get a chance to meet them.
Right.
In person anyway, you know, and so I try to make as much time as I can for people You know, and I'll spend a lot of time coming in and out of arenas and stuff just to make sure I get everybody. But then, like, you know, you never really get to have a good conversation with a lot of people. So in this instance, it's pretty good because then we'll like we'll have a better chance, like as opposed to like if we just like cross paths at like a venue or something like that. So
it would have been like a minute long conversation too.
Yeah, I mean, I do my best to make time, but sometimes it's like there'll be like a lot of people or it's just like a hectic schedule. But these days it's pretty chill, so it's good. And you're on the same time zone as me, so that makes this like way easier. A lot of times people are like, hey, I'm in like this place or that place, or like, you know, I'm on the East Coast, or I'm in Australia, or I'm in like, you know, or I'm in Manila or wherever, and then I'm like, okay, I could do like a conference call or something, but then I have to get up at like 6 a.m. to do it. And I'm like, oh geez. Or they're like, can you do this time like on West Coast time in the United States? I'm like, yeah, but it's like, you know, 8:15 in the morning. You know? Like, so it's nice to be able to do it in like the late afternoon and shit.
Yeah,
like, it's way better.
Yeah, it's more chill. Are you in are you in Vegas or LA?
Vegas right now. Yeah,
Vegas? Okay.
I just got back. Yeah, I was on the East Coast for a few days. I just got back, and then I actually head out to LA in like a day because I got some tapings for New Japan, and then I go to Nashville after that. I'll be in LA for like a week. Yeah.
Okay, I remember when I did the interview with Nicole. Obviously she's over there in the Philippines. So when I did the interview with her over there, it was like 11 p.m. and for me, it was 8 in the morning. So I mean, for me, for me, it was like, okay, like if I want her on my podcast, I was like, I'm the one that's gotta suck it up, get up early in the morning. You know what I mean?
Which is funny because like if depending on the timing, you know, Nicole or Nina, like she would sometimes be in LA, like with sometimes she'll train out here, like, or be like her boyfriend is in LA, so it's like every now and then you could catch her like that, but yeah, otherwise it's like, nope, I'm on the other side of the world, so you gotta catch me at like early in the AM or something. So yeah.
Speaking of Nicole or Nina, again, like you said, many different names.
I
gotta give her a big shout out because literally, if it wasn't for her, I don't think this would be possible. So honestly, a big shout out to Nicole, Nina, like on the like seriously, if it wasn't for her, like I gotta like I thank her so much because when it's funny, when I interviewed her, I had no idea that she even like knew you, or like you were on the same show as her. I had no idea like whatsoever until I was doing like some research. Until I was doing some research like before my interview with her. Then I was like, oh damn, I was like, TJP was on the same show as her. I was like, oh. So then I asked her about that, and she told me the story of how, you know, you gave her some words of wisdom when she kind of, you know, had that unfortunate concussion and all that. And I was like, oh my god, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So then you know, a few weeks
saved a life that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, man, I actually messaged her and I was like, hey, I told her honestly, I was like, honestly, I hate asking for favors like this, but I'm a fan of but I'm a fan of networking, you know? So it's like, ugh. So I asked her, I was like, is there any way, I was like, I said it like so like I was like, is there any way you is there any way you can get me in touch with DJ Perkins? I was like, I want to interview him, but I was like, I doubt I would be able to get in touch with him. And then she told me like, yeah, I'll let him know. And I was like, oh my god, I was like, thank the heavens, you know. So that's so it was like,
no, it's my pleasure, and yeah, I don't always, especially like these days, I'm usually not the one that schedules all this stuff. So whenever I get a chance, or like if somebody brings it to my attention, because usually it's not like in my hands, like, so when somebody brings it, like when she like told me like, hey, do you want to book this thing, or do you want to schedule this? I said, absolutely, because usually I'm not the one that does it. So I'm like, yeah, of course, like, thanks for letting me know. I wish people would let me know more like firsthand like that more often, because then I'd probably do more of them. I mean, I do a lot already, but like, but yeah, I mean, I was more than happy. I was really excited to hear that you reached out. So I'm glad. Thank you.
Dude, no problem, man. Dude. All right, man. So no surprise in the intro, you know, for my podcast, I already gave everybody the rundown of what it is that you do. No surprise there, right? So my listeners, they already have a good feel of what you do. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, so TJ, what do you do for a living? So so
I got you.
all right, here we go. Something that obviously I already know, and a lot of my listeners know, is that you've been wrestling since you were 13 years old. So something I want to ask is, okay, growing up into your teens, did you what were your jobs while you were wrestling? Did you have like quote unquote regular jobs?
No, I've literally never had a job other than wrestling in my life.
Oh, okay.
So that there's a period of time when I don't know, it's probably about like 10 years into my career, and like the recession hit, and that was a period of time that like WWE covered, and like TNA covered it as well, like when I was like homeless for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really bad, mostly because I don't have a secondary education. I don't have any work experience. So it was like, I was like, I didn't even want to wrestle anymore. I was like, that's fine. Like, God doesn't want me to do this. I made peace with that. It's fine, but I still have to survive. So I'd be going into anywhere, just trying to apply for jobs, Baskin Robbins, a gas station, janitor at like a school, like anything I would take. I would just interview for anything. And it's like, I barely finished high school. I never went to college. I have zero work experience. Not even like, it's not even that it's bad work. Like, I literally don't have a resume. I don't have anything to give anybody. All I've ever done is wrestling. So from 13 on, that's been my only means of income. So,
yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, that is great. Honestly, I think that's any wrestler. I think that's any wrestler's dream right now, man. Oh,
well, it's not always a dream, but yeah, like to answer that question, yeah, wrestling has really been it for me.
Yeah. When you were in high school, did you have friends that were also wrestling fans, or were you kind of like the lone wolf in there?
Well, I had a really small circle. I mean, I only had like a couple friends that followed me from grade school into high school, and I didn't really make a lot of friends in high school because I started wrestling my freshman year. So I was like basically a runaway from like year one of high school. I started even before high school, to be honest, I think, because I started like the summer before I started high school. The reason I started is because I went in summer school my freshman year, and I asked them about the amateur wrestling program. So I had finished middle school, and I was going into high school, and I went to like private school all my life. I'm Catholic, as most Filipinos are, and I was like, okay, now, like, and I always knew I wanted to be a wrestler someday. So, but this was like, a different time in the world. So this was 1998. There's not like social media and like information isn't easily shared. Like the internet really wasn't even a big thing yet, at that time. Like like AOL.com. So you can get like current events and stock reports, but like there's not like a lot of commentary and stuff on the internet yet,
Right.
And so it's not easy to figure out how to be a pro wrestler at that time, because there's nothing, no YouTube, there's no, Twitter, there's nothing, no Facebook, nothing, none of that, no Google, none of it. So I just thought so many of these guys, just from interviews and things like that, a lot of these guys are amateur wrestlers. So I need to do that, and then somehow it'll happen.
Yeah.
I just figured that'll be the gateway. So I went in, in high school. I said, okay, now I'm at a level of school that there is like amateur wrestling, because they don't really have that in like grade school, like usually a lot of times. So I went in, they didn't have an amateur program, so I didn't know what to do. And I started writing to all these schools or to wrestling gyms that you'd see advertised in like wrestling magazines and things. I actually had to send letters with stamps and stuff.
What is that?
This is yeah, I mean, again, this email had barely been invented, basically. So like a lot of these places, they didn't have a website, they didn't have an email set up. So that's how you got information. You literally sent a letter. So I sent letters out and got pamphlets or whatever, but you had to be like 18 or 21, and I had to relocate to go to any of these places. I was only 13. And I just kind of fell into it locally, because in Southern California, Los Angeles area, there's a lot of lucha libre, and that's just kind of how I fell into it. And it is a weird time. It's a different time in the world.
So this would be year 22 for you, wrestling, right?
Yeah, I'll be going like going on year 22 or something like that. Yeah.
In a interview you did a while back, you listed all the injuries that you've gone through. Would you say that all those
Yeah.
injuries? Would you say all those injuries have caught up to you, or do you still feel like pretty good?
No, I mean my legs feel fine. I was just thinking about it the other day because last year leaving WWE is like my first year being like freelance and just promoting myself in like, yeah, God, 10 years maybe. I hadn't been in that situation since I was like in my early 20s
Mhm.
or mid 20s maybe, and like I don't know if I expected this, but like my schedule got really packed, and I was constantly working and getting a lot of offers to wrestle a lot of different places, and I ended up doing like, God, 90 events in the span of like 6 months maybe. It was a lot, and and I felt good, you know. So it gave me like I kind of had wondered over the last 5-10 years or so, like
Right.
because you when you're in like regulated places, TNA, WWE, Ring of Honor, and you have like a steady schedule, you kind of wonder if you get outside of that bubble, like does your body feel like you can keep doing this, you know?
Yeah.
Because those schedules are busy, but like it's a way different grind when you're independent, because every single place is unrelated and all the accommodations are different. You're going in so many different places and parts of the world. And so I was going to the, UK, Canada, Australia multiple times, and then coast to coast, and like, like catching like 6 planes in like 4 days, that sort of thing. And I felt good. Like my legs and everything felt good, and my body felt good. Mentally I was getting tired. So I think I'm getting
Right.
old in the fact that like I feel like an adult now up here, I guess. But no, I mean I think the injuries are okay. You kind of learn to manage, I guess. And it's really more of an IQ game, Like you get smarter as you get older. So I think now, like especially like hitting my prime years as far as like maturing and everything. Like now I'm like I wrestle more with this than I do with
Mhm.
everything else. So it's good.
So far in your wrestling career, what would you say is your favorite mistake? That because you made that mistake, it led to something better.
Uh Man, probably trying to go to WWE when I was like 22 or 23.
Was it
I
FCW?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, at that time. That's what
Oh,
led to me being homeless, and
oh, what?
yeah,
I, I I
I
knew
had got
I knew that, but I didn't know that's what led to it. Oh, what?
yeah. Ironically, they told my story so proudly that I don't know if they realized that I was homeless because of that.
No, they mentioned you were homeless, but they didn't say, "Oh yeah, tell you it's because
Yeah,
of what?" Okay, that I didn't know. What
yeah.
the?
I don't think I ever spelled that part out for them either. But yeah. I mean, it's not their fault. It's just circumstances. Yeah, I was from my last year of high school, about 17 years old, I got recruited by New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then through them, I got sent to CMLL in Mexico, and then I got scouted by TNA, and then Ring of Honor had me, and like so I was wrestling in a lot of good places, in kind of like in rotation, New Japan, Mexico, TNA, Ring of Honor, and doing really good stuff, like 18, 19, 20 years old. And then around the time I was like 21, 22, I was getting like tryout type things scheduled and inquiries from WWE. And when I was a teenager, I was in like a WWE developmental, sort of, back when they were still WWF.
Mhm.
I was in the same class that John Cena was in
Right.
Victoria, out of them. The same one that they came up in LA. And so, fast forward to when I'm like 20, 21, 22, I get a bunch of these offers to do that. And when I go and do it, a lot of the guys that are there, some people from the office and some of the other wrestlers, they recognize that I have like a lot of talent, obviously, but that it's still a tough grind to try to like open the right eyes in that way. So it was kind of recommended to me, maybe you should try going to Florida and go into the camp and see if you can kind of just like open your own door there. because I had been doing all these Raws and SmackDowns, and they're like, you look like $1,000,000, but it's just you're not changing any minds. You know, maybe it's just not the right time for you here. And it wasn't. You know, there was smaller guys were not there at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I decided to go to Florida, and you know, it clearly didn't work out. It led to like you know, I mean, it was a lot of things, because I going there, like I dedicated myself fully to going to FCW and trying to like earn a spot. So that was 100% of my focus. I left behind New Japan, I left behind CMLL, I left behind TNA, I left behind Ring of Honor, left behind all the indies I was doing, didn't take any dates, just was only there, just only in the camp, only doing that. As far as they were concerned, I had never wrestled a day in my life. I was just there to just be there. And I gave everything of myself to them. So, you know, you can't just leave that stuff on the table. Like that gets, those spots get taken up real quick. You know, we have such a talented generation now.
Yeah.
So guys were coming into those companies, New Japan and all these different places, and those spots were gone. So, you know, I lost that, didn't get what I was aiming for, lost a lot more in the process in terms of real life stuff. So, you know, that was probably my favorite, probably a mistake, because it led to a lot of stuff, but it was a huge growing experience for me. And you know, I learned to be, I think that was really the time when I like learned to be a man, because I was still kind of a big kid, you know, I was only 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
So I was still kind of a kid at the time, and I learned to be a better businessman. I learned how to like manage a career, and I learned how to take care of my family. And these are all things that I didn't fully mature and understand yet. I didn't really appreciate what I had. Like I knew I was doing well in wrestling, making good money, and doing all these things that most people never get to do in their like entire careers. And I was doing this stuff when I was like 19, 20 years old, but I didn't appreciate it. I just was like having fun. So it was like, it's kind of like in Major League, like first 10 years, I was like Wild Thing in the first movie. Second 10 years, I had to be Wild Thing from the second movie, where he's like a little bit more mature and kind of understands that he's not just a big kid. He needs to manage a career and be more responsible. So that's kind of how it was for me.
Yeah, the part oh my god, the FCW part, that's the part that I did not know. Oh my god, I was like, mind blown right there, that part. Yeah, that is crazy. What the hell? Oh my god. All right, so I do want to talk about a little bit about the Cruiserweight Classic, but not the question you constantly get is how does it feel that you won? No, so it's like little picks of it. So first thing is, did you pick your theme song? Was it called Devastate? Or did they pick it for you?
That one. No, that was assigned to me. And I had asked if I could use this song that was created for me by a buddy of mine. His name's Emilio Sparks. And he had kind of worked to create this track for me. It's kind of like an EDM track, you know. Nothing too crazy, it's just something that he made for me, and I really liked it. I was using it in some other places when WWE had picked me up, like the events I was using it for were those, and I asked them if I could use it, and they're like, well, we have to kind of jump through hoops to like get a lot of the stuff approved. So, you know, we have this song, and so I just went with it, and I liked it okay, but it's not really my style. It's very like Florida rock, alt rock, you know, and I like alt rock, that's fine, but like it was a little bit like watered down as far. It wasn't really me, I guess. So yeah, that was assigned to me.
Is that song you just mentioned that your friend made you, is that anywhere for us to listen?
It might be on YouTube somewhere. It was a track that I used in Evolve a lot, but they also swapped that track in Evolve for another one, which my boy Emilio Sparks didn't create, but he was the one that kind of like passed that track onto me. But that track was called Champion, the secondary one. And they ended up using it for a WWE video game commercial, like for the mobile game that they had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the first one that was like an EDM track. It might be online somewhere, maybe on YouTube or something like that. But it was from Evolve, so maybe you could find it.
What's it called?
God, I think it was called. I want to say the original track name was called Raptor, but I'm not sure if it was renamed, and it might just be under TJP theme evolve.
Mm.
I'm not totally sure if what it would be named after as far as uploads, but yeah.
Yeah, the song "Devastate," man, dude. I still have that song downloaded on my playlist. When I go to work, I'm always bumping that song. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo, like
yeah.
that's pretty cool. What about when you went up to Raw and that's your video game song "Playing with Power"? How did you feel about that one?
Oh, I love it. I mean, obviously, I guess a little biased because I'm a human being, but like, I mean, even outside the box, I think honestly that's like one of the best wrestling themes that's ever been created. I love it. I'm so happy that they made it for me, and
Mhm.
I really loved the remixed version they did. Like the last year that I was in WWE, where
Yeah.
it was like all like kind of garage bandish and more
Mm.
like electric guitar. I love it so much. And yeah, it was just CFO Money called me and it was before I went to do the pay-per-view, and they asked me, same as you right now, they asked if I liked my track in the CWC, and I
Mm.
said it's okay, but it's not really me. They asked me for a list of things that I like so they can just build me something
Oh,
that
okay.
encompasses me. But I gave them, I mean, I like so much stuff. It was just so, I gave them the worst list of all time. I said, I like Elvis, Tupac, Blink 182, Chuck Berry, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. It just stuff that doesn't go together, at
Yeah.
all. Nirvana. And I'm like, and so the Rolling Stones. And so they're like, okay. And so then I called them back like 20 minutes later. I said, look, I'm trying to create a theme here that's like Scott Pilgrim, Ready Player One, and can you do something that sounds like Dr. Wily's Castle? Mega Man is my favorite video game character, and they said, yeah, we can do that. So they created it, and it was great. And I talked to the production guys at the arenas, and they said they can do all these graphics and stuff with it. So I asked them, can you like the Marvel vs. Capcom Power Energy Bar and like power up and like Zelda and like Super Mario World, coins and cherries and like little power ups and stuff on the ramp. They said, yeah, we can do all that. They put it all together, and it worked.
During the finals of the Cruiserweight Classic, obviously everybody noticed all the welts on your chest.
Yeah,
How how
yeah.
how how bad did those sting?
Pretty bad. Those are the type of things like it's hard to shower after those because it stings, from the water. Like there's levels to it because there's some like you get sometimes it's just you're red, and sometimes you get bruised up pretty bad. And then if it's really bad, then you're bruised up and like you have like the skin is ripped open from the impact. So like you have a lot of like it's like gashes, like like if you hit like asphalt, like
Mm.
skating or something like that. Like, and that's what that was like that day. It was really rough.
Yeah, even,
I
even
shouldn't I shouldn't have I shouldn't have egged him on to hit me anymore.
well, first I think it came from what Kota Ibushi's kicks, and then from Mental League slaps.
Yeah,
Man, you were
yeah.
pretty beat up that day. But
Yeah, the final, especially with Metallic, I guess it was I went a little bit too much like Pacquiao mode. In my head, I was thinking like, all right, we got another Filipino Mexican like slugfest, so
yeah,
bring it.
yeah.
And afterward, I was like, no, stop bringing it, please.
I remember even when you did the photo shoot with the title, I remember you could still see them like stand out all kinds, and I was like, was that the same day?
No, we did that the next day, and the makeup artist had to cover me in makeup. Actually,
Oh,
they
okay,
couldn't get
okay.
it all. They did their best, but I mean, man, I mean, it was everything was all purple and black, all here from here up my neck. Yeah, it was bad.
Another thing I noticed in the finals is when you won, you're on the middle rope and you're celebrating. There's confetti going everywhere, and I noticed I don't even know if people caught it, but there's a second where you look up and you talk. And I don't know if it's too personal, you don't have to answer that question. But I was just curious, who were you talking to during that time?
Um, I was just saying a thank you to my grandfather. I never got to meet him before he passed, and it's my mom's dad. And my mom is the Philip side of the family. My dad was born in America. My dad's from Kansas City, so he's a country boy. My mom is the Asian side, and my mom came over. She was born in Manila, and so I was the first born in America from her family. I was the first kid, and her dad brought them over. My grandfather, he was a doctor. He brought them to Chicago when my mom was younger, so she was able to finish school there and start her career, and then eventually meet my dad and move on into making a family and everything. And I was just, thanking him for existing, for taking good care of my mom and my grandma, and like kind of paving this road for me to be on and continue. Because like I felt like, not like it was like a lot of weight on my shoulders, but it felt very powerful out of nowhere, like what I was able to do and the amount of people that I can reach and help. And it didn't occur to me that I mean so much to so many people and to help so many people. And so when that responsibility was kind of thrust on me a little bit, and I wanted it, I accepted it, and it just just kind of made me think like, this is what Pacquiao has been shouldering for a decade, and this is something that this is a bridge that nobody's been building for a lot of Asian kids and a lot of Filipinos specifically. And I think about all the times, because I've always represented my Filipino culture since the one. I've always had the sun and the stars on my tights and worn the colors, and so many times it was misunderstood. People didn't even know what a Filipino was. And all these things, just remembering the 18 years prior to that moment, all of that I went through, and everything that guys like Manny are shouldering almost by themselves. And that, like, my grandfather did something for the family that changed the course of my family's history. And in turn, what he did sort of changed the course for a lot of like Filipino history, at least in regards to how I was able to use the wrestling platform to inspire others. And it's like, I just thought, I never got to meet you, but thank you, because you've enabled me to be able to reach so many people. And he never got to see that. He didn't even realize that that's what he was doing, but he gave me the opportunity to do that.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for sharing that, man. Like, I was kind of hesitant to ask you, but I was just curious of, who was it?
Nah, it's all right. I'm proud of it. I haven't. Nobody's really asked me about that. Maybe I think I maybe only spoke about it maybe once. I don't remember when or how, but I think maybe only one time. So, but yeah, it was all for him. I just wanted him to know that I'm thankful.
Okay. So then when you competed at Clash of Champions, while you were making your way to the ring, Michael Cole said something, and I wanted to ask you if it was just part of the storyline or if it was actually real life. They said that Brian Kendrick would pick you up from school and you would skip school and you would go to wrestling class. Was that just part of the story, or was that real?
It was No, I mean, it was real. Some of it gets a little bit mixed together. I used to have to ditch school all the time to wrestle, both just to go to training and to go to shows. When I was like 13, when I started, until I was, at least until I can drive, a lot of times in order to make shows on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would ditch school almost as soon as I got there on a Friday. Maybe halfway through the day, I would ditch. And I'd get picked up at school by somebody going to whatever show I needed to go to that night. And then I would get to that show that night. So say I'd get picked up from school, I'd skip out halfway through the day, sneak out, jump in the car. We go to a show in, I don't know, San Francisco or something like that. Now if anybody's going to a show in like Anaheim or something the next day, or wherever it was, Vegas, Phoenix, Tijuana, whatever the case may be. And I would hop in their car and go to that show. And then when I would get there, I'd ask around the locker room, hey, is anybody doing this show on Sunday? I got to go to, Pomona or something. And I'd hop in their car and go there. And then I would just see if somebody was going to pass back through Riverside and be able to get back to school on Monday morning. And a lot of times, some of the times, Brian would be the guy that would come and pick me up. Okay. We were good friends, so that part is real. We've been good friends for a long time. One thing that gets confused is he was never my coach or trainer. I've actually been wrestling longer than him.
No. Okay.
maybe like a year long, not a lot longer, like a year longer. We started around the same time. So he was never my coach, but he was always kind of like a big brother to me.
Right.
I wish I could get my Wikipedia fixed because
Oh, it says
yeah,
you're
Kendrick and Christopher Daniels were my coaches. I don't know where they came from. They were like, they're good. They're like older brothers for me. Yeah. But they were never like my coaches, but yeah, that part of the story is real.
Okay.
I would have to ditch school to make shows a lot before I could drive. And then a lot of times Brian would be the guy to come scoop me up.
And if that's not passion, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what is. Let's go. Okay, so something that I noticed in a few interviews that you did is people always ask you, oh, what's your dream match, or what's your favorite match or dream match, and you always say, oh, the next one. So I have a somewhat of a kind of similar question, and if it's the same answer, if it's the next one, then okay, cool. But I want to see if I can get a different answer out of you. So here's the scenario, okay? So let's say you meet somebody new, right? And they have no idea you're a wrestler, right? You just meet them,
Okay.
at a party or something like that, and you guys, become friends or something like that. And then he finds out you're a wrestler. And then one day, you guys are hanging out, just watching TV or something. And that friend tells you, hey, man, show me one of your matches. What match would you show him?
Oh man, I don't know. It's
Can't
weird.
say
It's
the
weird.
next one.
I would probably just show him like a few of the matches from the CWC probably. They're not necessarily my favorite matches, but I think just to give them an idea of how I guess the world perceives me, I'd show them that, so they'd see like, okay, this is essentially like what the world saw in me at one point,
Right.
Personally, there's a lot of different things I would love for them to see, or at least if I were to describe like my favorite stuff or whatever, there's other stuff stories I would tell them, or matches I would show them so that they can understand. But I think outside of my own box, it's like that's probably what they should see if they want to understand me. Because then if I show them stuff that I really like, I might show them some show from like when I was like, I don't know, 19 years old, and it was like really great for me or whatever. But then they're like, well, okay, that's great, but why the hell did you do Sports Center in the Philippines? Like, this isn't it,
Yeah.
And so I guess understand, like, if we're like, because sometimes things like that will come up. Where like I was walking with my sister at Disney, like in Florida one time. We met up for dinner, and she's a doctor. She follows after my grandfather, and she had a conference. And we were walking through Disney to go to dinner, and we got stopped, I think, a couple times by people that wanted my autograph, and kids, and like they wanted pictures and stuff. And it's always not shocking, but like it surprises friends and family when that happens. We'll be at a movie theater or like the mall or something, and every now and then it'll happen. And if I don't show them like WWE or something, then they won't understand why people stop me. They'll be like, why the hell do they see this? Why do they care? But my favorite stuff is not that stuff. My favorite stuff from wrestling has been like stuff that, people probably will never see. But I would probably show them that just so they understand this is why strangers irrationally love me and hate me.
What are some of like some of the common stuff you hear when people stop you on the street?
Yeah, it's usually like, man, I really love you in WWE, or they'll call me. A lot of them will call me champ. For better or worse, I feel like the cruiserweight title like is just gonna always be synonymous with me. Like people associate that with me. Like there's so many great guys that had it after me, and that whole group was really great. But just I think that period of time stuck so hard on people, on WWE fans especially, that it's like they look at that title, they see me, and so that a lot of times it'll be something like that. Like if for Asian Americans or like Filipinos and stuff like that, a lot of them will tell me like, the thing I like best about them is a lot of them will tell me that I was the only reason they got that their parents or grandparents would watch. And so they would tell me stories like yeah, my aunt was crying when you won and stuff like that, because it was like, it's, that there's just not that many Filipino heroes, I
Mm,
guess, outside of the country. And
yeah.
so I'll hear if for Asians, like they'll tell me stuff like that that's a little bit more personally connected. But usually it's just stuff like that, like, oh, I really loved you on Raw, I really loved you on, WWE. I've been watching for however long, like, like call me champ or whatever, stuff like
Yeah.
that. The kids will do the dab pose or something, stuff like that. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, that's probably what I would have said too, man. Because I mean, I'll be honest, like when I saw the Cruiserweight Classic, I'll be honest, that's when I became a fan of yours. But I still remember the day when you won that day. I remember that's like one of the few times where I was like kind of getting emotional. So like I remember as soon as it was over, I tweeted and I was like, I freaking love professional wrestling. Like I remember that's probably something I would have said too.
That's Well,
You know
that's
what I mean?
awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, for sure, man. So something else I want to talk to you about is, obviously, you're a big fan of video games. So I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what was it like when you found out that you were going to be in WWE 2K18?
I mean, it was really cool. For a lot of reasons. I mean, I grew up on obviously video games, but like I grew up on wrestling games. So like to be in one was was gonna be really cool. And I had been working on the crew to make the WWE games for a few years. Like I had done like the motion capture animations from
Oh,
like
that's
2K15 and 16 on.
yeah.
So for a few years, like a lot of the guys in the game were me. Like Eddie Guerrero, a lot of his animations were mine, a lot of Sean's were mine, a lot of Bret
Oh,
Hart's were
what?
mine. Yeah, so like so I had been doing animations for a lot of the guys for a while, and then so when I got to be in it, it was like for a lot of reasons, just being a wrestling fan, for that reason, being a wrestler for that reason, having worked on the game previously,
Yeah,
so it was like, oh, this is cool. I actually get myself in. But
yeah.
ironically, I've never played as myself, because I don't really like playing as contemporary characters. I always play as older like characters. Like when I
Okay.
play as like Sting
Mm.
or like Rick Rude. Like I'm not really a big fan of myself. So it's cool to see me in the game, but when I see my name on the list, I keep scrolling. I'm happy to see it, but it's not. I still want to play as Shawn Michaels. Like
Yeah.
that's me. That's what I prefer. So
Man, every wrestling game, I always create myself, and dude, best believe you and I had a freaking 5-star match in 2K18 and 19, man.
that's awesome. I am glad that I was able to still be in 19 before I left, because that, I guess, will probably go down as the best one, since 20 was kind of like a
Yeah,
bomb.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'm happy I got to be in the last really good one.
yeah.
But
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I still play 20 every now and then, but so best believe I created you on that game too.
awesome.
Yo, man, let me just take a second, man, to thank the Lord real quick, man. This is awesome, man, dude. Thank you so much again, man.
I don't know, worries. It's my pleasure.
You mentioned last year that you were co-writing two horror movies. Is that still in progress, or has that already been done?
I mean, I had written the concepts for them. I had I'll keep adding to notes, and I don't really. I'm new to the process, so like I mean, it's still in process. And like even for people that work on stuff like this, I've come to find out that like sometimes you sit on a concept for a lifetime. So yeah, they're still here at my desk, and I still work on them a little bit from time to time, and I'm still kind of learning how to like flesh out like a concept and a treatment and a screenplay and things like that.
Mm.
But yeah, there are two that I had worked on, and at this point it's more just like seeing if there's a way to kind of on some sort of introductory level, like be able to produce it in some way. And I think the way that I wanted to try and start was just to shorts maybe of them and see if they work out that way, and then maybe see if it could be expanded into something more long form. But I've always liked the horror genre, and when I was like 19 or something, I had one of my wrestling coaches had told me it'd be good for you to get into the practice of writing, because it's not just going to help you in wrestling, but like, you know, it might be something that you are able to do creatively outside of wrestling when you get older. So there was one concept I wrote when I was 19, and I just always sat on the notes, and I've since come to kind of expand on it a little bit. And then, you know, sometime early last year, I started working on a different concept that was more like Filipino specific and dealing with like folklore and stuff like that. So yeah, I have a couple concepts, but you know, I would bet that they're far off, like they're far away from being like produced into anything that will be seen at the moment. But they're ready to go, and I had, you know, spoken to different people that I knew that were like producers and like connected to different like studios and other producers that were kind of giving me options of how to kind of go about like finding an outlet for it. But you know, it's just, it'll always be on the back burner from wrestling, because I there's just so much that I'm doing already. But it's definitely something I continue to work on.
Still haven't considered acting?
I have. I just it's not ever really been my primary focus. When I was like 7 or something, I don't know, maybe a little older than that. When I was a kid, my mom had me in acting. I would do commercials and different things, and I just wasn't. I was too young to understand what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had charisma, and I could speak. I could read really well at a high level. Like I could read at like a college level when I was like 10, like 9 years old. I could read really well. So I would go in for these reads, and like I had 2 different agents that had picked me up at different times. I had a SAG card, so I was Screen Actors Guild and everything. And I did land like some commercials and stuff. Usually it was like Mexican commercials because of the way I look. So I'd be in like AT&T commercials. Yeah, I'd be in like AT&T commercials in Spanish and stuff like that. I almost got the role for Spike and Little Giants. I read for Spike, and I read for another one of the kids in the movie, and I still have the scripts. It was at my mom's house. I found it recently. I think I posted screenshots of it on my Instagram, because the scene I had to read was when Spike and Fox had their first confrontation, and he calls her Berserko Barbie doll, and like they have this back and forth. That was my table read basically, and or my that was my reading that I had to do. And it literally got down to like me and like the kid that got it, and then he ended up getting it. So I did act when I was a little kid. I just wasn't really good at it because I didn't really I didn't know what I was doing. And I would do it now. You know, a lot of people say that I should do it, especially now because I have a lot more fun with interviews and promos and pre-tapes and stuff in wrestling. I like to make them funny. I like to be creative and not be like traditional wrestler, like super adrenaline guy. Like when I talk, like I like to create little scenes in my promos that just very subtle, where I can be funny or just be, you know, entertaining in some way, facial expressions or something. And so people will kind of recommend it to me, but I mean, nothing's come up where I felt like, oh, I'll transition, this is the perfect opportunity. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll come up. I don't know.
For sure. Something I just realized right now, and if you don't mind me pointing it out, but is that the ring gear you wore in the finals of the Cruiserweight Classic behind you?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is I could kind of give you a little better view. This is my home office here, so I have like some things from my career that have been gathered up over the years. A lot of this is like, so that big mural is like posters I ripped off the walls in Mexico, like on the streets, because down there, like they still have like, it's kind of like stuck in a time warp, especially the wrestling culture. So like they still have like posters up on like brick walls and stuff for local cards and things at the arena. So every week I would go find them, and like I had this box of flyers and posters, and like another one right there. There's like those old school like plastered posters that's on the wall. I ripped that one off for one of my matches, and then some stuff from Japan. And yeah, these 2 cases are the X Division title, and then
Oh yeah.
the suit I wore, and then the cruiserweight title, and then the suit I wore for
So
it.
is that
So
so is
yeah,
that is that
those
is
are
that
the two.
is that gear retired?
Yeah, I probably never wear those ones again. I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, other than a few times on Raw, I don't think I ever really wore them.
Yeah.
I kind
Mm.
of I kind of saved them a little bit. But yeah, they're just that. It's just something for like my future kids to look at, I think.
Yeah.
For a while, all this stuff was just boxed up. I never really cared to like display it, but it was more like, um, some family and friends had kind of persuaded me to like put some stuff up and like try to be more proud of these things, because I used to just keep them boxed up. I didn't really, like, have a reason to show them off, but I think it's good because then family could kind of see it and things like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That
my
look,
mom had a bunch of this stuff, and I eventually got this office like kind of done up in my house here, and so then when I started putting some stuff up, I got these, like, I guess, displays for them, and then yeah, my mom still has a bunch of stuff though in her house, like a bunch of action figures and different things from WWE and posters and stuff, but yeah, so I think it's safe to say that it's retired now.
what about the other gears you wore during like for example the black and red and gray? I believe when you face
Oh,
Johnny Gargano. What about those? Those are retired too?
yeah, I actually have a little closet here next to my desk, and it has a bunch of my old boots and different things in them, and I have all these old guys in
Oh,
there.
what? Damn! That is crazy. Oh,
Um,
damn.
so now this is I feel like this is the one that people mostly remember, just because I had this the first couple rounds in
Yeah.
the Cruiserweight Classic. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got
Oh,
them all still here.
crazy.
These ones, yeah, these ones I didn't really put them up or anything. I mean, this one that is kind of like synonymous with the title, so I guess is more
Mm,
appropriate to
yeah.
kind of display it. The other ones, they're just sitting in a closet someday. I'm sure like my future son will run around the house
Yeah.
wearing something. So that'll be for the kids someday.
Dude, thank you so much for sharing that with me, man. Dude, I appreciate that, man.
No, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. All right, so something else I want to talk to you about is, man. What are your workouts like, man? Because you're pretty jacked, man. So I wanted to ask. So I wanted to ask, what are your workouts like, and what's your diet like, man? I'm really curious.
Um, it. I mean, it's not anything superhuman or anything. When I was younger, I used to be kind of a maniac. Like, I mean, I still have the same discipline, but I've tried to be a little bit more progressive and trying to be smarter about how I approach things. Because I guess like since I'm not super young anymore, I don't want to like use wasted energy, for no reason. But when I was younger, I mean, man, it was like, I'd be like going for runs at 3 a.m. and like, like be in the gym and doing all these like it guys hated to be in the gym with me, like that sort of thing. Like they hated to train with me. Not, I mean, I'm not like super strong or like this freak athlete or anything, but it just, my work ethic it wasn't fun for people.
Mm,
That's just the way I've always been. It's something I get from being like a Kobe Bryant guy my whole life. But now, I mean, it's really more about like consistency than anything else. I mean, my diet isn't too crazy. For the most part, it's sort of like a keto diet, and I cut carbs out a lot, and then I cycle them back in appropriately. And everybody's body is biologically going to be different. Everybody's programmed differently, so you have to find out what foods make you react a certain way. Everybody's body's going to be different. You can't break it up by anything. I mean, you can't, it's literally, you just have to spend years kind of experimenting with yourself and seeing. So I kind of know how to time certain things that I eat, and diet is really like 90% of it. Training is nothing too crazy. I still train kind of crazy sometimes. I mean, you could see some of like the videos that I'll post, but like it's really more about consistency. and making sure that it's a consistent thing. So my training is always changing. I never really have a set plan or anything like that. It's more about listening to my body. So same thing with like the diet. Like it's, you just kind of learn how your body reacts to certain types of training. So you learn how to push it, you learn how to test it, you learn how to maintain it, and it's just really kind of listening to it and doing it that way.
What's your favorite food besides pizza?
Oh, gosh, more pizza. I like Mexican food. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
if I don't have pizza, usually Mexican is my go-to. I like tacos, burritos, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay, for sure, for sure. All right, TJ. So I want to play two little quick games with you before we wrap things up, man. So first of all, you down?
Oh yeah.
All right. So the first one, pretty easy. I call it the hot rod seat. So basically, I'm going to put a minute on the clock, and I'm going to rapid fire some questions at you, and you just answer them as fastly and as honestly as you can.
All right. Let's do it.
Here we go. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but TJ Perkins, you are in the hot rod seat. Oh, let's go. Again, man, my bad, man.
No, it's all right. Let's do it.
Here we go. Minute on the clock, and go. If you could close one fast food place because of nasty food, what would you pick?
Arby's. Terrible place.
Favorite finisher besides your own?
Oh gosh. Honestly, it's my finisher isn't my favorite. My favorite would probably be, the STF maybe. STF. I like the STF. Not or the octopus hold.
Okay. What are you terrible at?
Terrible. Ooh. Gosh, I'm terrible at anagrams. That game, the word game. Yeah, my girl beats me at anagrams all the time. She'll make like 32 words, and I'll make like 8 words. I can't do it.
What is one food that you will never give up besides Mexican and pizza?
Oh, cheeseburgers.
Okay.
I like good old fashioned burger and fries. Yeah.
Childhood celebrity crush.
Kelly Kapowski.
Okay. Secret hidden talent.
A lot of people don't know it, but I'm pretty okay at hockey, ice hockey.
Oh, okay. Oh, damn.
Yeah, I like playing ice hockey. Yeah.
Bam.
All right, are we back?
Yeah. Oh my.
We got disconnected or something.
Yeah. What the heck? Oh my god, that scared the hell out of me. Oh my god. Thank God. Oh my god. Thank God it's still recording. I was like, don't tell me to stop recording. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I flipped out. I flipped out. I jumped out of my freaking chair. Oh my god. I got so scared right there, man.
No worries.
Oh, oh my damn. Oh my Lanta.
We cut out a little bit again, I think.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is what the heck? Huh. I don't get it, man. What the hell? Oh my god. All right. Okay.
All right.
So something I do want to share with you is okay. So when I started going to the gym, I was pretty consistent. I was eating good. I was going to the gym every day, and then I want to say 2 months in, I found out I had to get my wisdom tooth pulled out. And so when I got it pulled out, they told me, okay, you can't lift anything heavy. So I was like, oh, what? So I was like, so I can't go to the gym? They're like, no. So I was like, oh man, I was like, I just started going to the gym, and 2 months later they tell me I can't go anymore. I can't lift anything. So what ended up happening was I fell out of the habit of waking up early and eating well. So I was like, so when I couldn't go to the gym, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go to the gym anymore. So I was like, why am I gonna eat good and why am I gonna wake up early? So I stopped going to the gym like altogether. I stopped eating clean. And it took me a long time to get back into the roll of things. So then this year, in February, I started going again, and it was a lot easier than the first time. I was like, oh hell yeah! I was like, it's sad that it took me that long to get back into it, but February I started going again, and I was feeling good. I was eating clean, and I was working out like almost every day. And then this whole thing happened, and the gym closed. So now I fell back into that habit. So I was like, just my luck.
Well,
man.
I guess if the left one don't get you, the right one will. Right?
Oh my god, that's why I'm jealous. You have a home gym, man.
I mean, you make do with what you have,
Yeah.
and I used to just not even have a gym. I used to just work out, without anything, and but I mean, that's I guess that's like going back to like a previous question. That's just something that I've picked up on more and more as I've gotten older, is that the consistency, it's less about what you're doing, it's just
Mhm.
about that you're doing it, so
Yeah.
just getting any kind of work in that you can, and being consistent, like you said, it gets easier. But
Mhm.
it's just consistency is the hard part,
Yeah.
training yourself and being disciplined to be like, okay, no matter what I do, I just got to make sure I'm doing something, and like you keep inching your way towards whatever your goal is, and that's all that matters.
True, true, true. All right, man. So another game I want to play with you, and it's kind of similar to the hot rod seat, but this one's kind of
Uh-huh.
it has a twist. Okay. So
Okay.
so I'm gonna ask you one question, right? And no, I don't know the question. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's just it's a doozy. It has a twist. So I'm gonna ask you one question, right? And I don't know the question, but here's the twist. If you decide to answer the question, then cool. I will probably get a good laugh out of it, and whoever's listening will probably get a good laugh at it. If you decide not to answer the question, if you're like, no, I'm not gonna answer it, you have to follow me on either Instagram or Twitter.
Okay.
You want to go? You want to go for it?
All right, let's go for it.
All right, here we go. So when I said I don't know the question, here's why. It's because I have a friend who I tell him, I tell him who I'm interviewing, and I tell him, okay, I was like, I need you to give me a question that he probably can't answer. So that's what he did. So that's why I haven't seen the question yet. So the question,
All righty. Let's.
here we go. So the question is in this envelope. So that's why I haven't opened
Oh
it yet.
wow, we're full on Johnny Carson.
Here we go. So here we go. Let me read it real quick, just in case it's appropriate. Oh my I think you can answer this question. I think you can answer it, man. It's like, wow, my friend my friend kind of let me down. But anyways, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, TJ, you've mentioned that you weren't signed to WWE when you won the title, and you didn't receive the contract until a few days later. How much money was involved in this contract?
Oh, let me see.
Oh,
Well,
oh.
this this one is tough because I shortly after the first one it was restructured, so I'm trying to remember what the initial deal was. I think it was, so second round of the CWC, they pulled everybody aside and were making people offers, and they offered something that was, I don't know, it's like standard for everybody, is like, I don't know, $55,000, $60,000 or something of like salary. And initially I said no, not because like of the money. I mean, I didn't really care or think about the money at all. I just wanted to do other stuff. I told him I wanted to go to Japan, Mexico, stuff like that. And I told him, the reason why, you know, like especially being out of TNA, like I was at that time, I was like, I was kind of looking forward to doing all this stuff. I gave up a lot of stuff before I
Yeah.
was homeless, man. I kind of want to get back to that. I miss Mexico. I miss Japan. I want to go back to these things. I just do CWC and be done with it. That's just what I thought. But they really wanted me to stay. So then they upped it. They added like, I don't know, 10 grand more or something like that. Then it was like 20 grand more. So now it was like $70,000, $80,000. And I was like, it's pretty good money. Cause then you're going to make more, you're going to make way more than that. Like, that's just what I'm going to make minimum. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm definitely going to be making more than the six figures at that part. So, and then I think they threw in like another signing bonus of like a few grand or something like that. And so that's when I said, okay, so it's like just under 100,000 when I first signed. But then, like, I don't know, shortly after that, it got changed, because that's like, what would be considered like their developmental contract. But I never went to NXT. I bypassed, went straight to Raw. So then shortly after that, they changed it to something that was well over six figures. It was like 125, 150. And then it just got more and more after that. So then I was making maybe like 200,000 the next few years or something like that.
I
That's what it was initially.
didn't think you were gonna answer that question.
Nah. Honestly, I think it's kind of silly that like the money and stuff for wrestling is so secretive, because if this was like the NBA or something, people would
Yeah,
know what I signed
that's
for,
yeah.
They
That's
would
what I was gonna mention.
like they would know, like, oh yeah, they would know. They're like, okay, like WWE in this case would be like the team. It's like, okay, they signed them to 3 years, 200K a year or something like that. Like they would know, like that would be the
Yeah,
case. So
yeah.
that
That's
initially, yeah. So initially, it's like they gave me, like, I don't know, number one draft pick money. They took what the regular draft money would be and like upped it by like a bunch, and then I kept saying no. They added some more, gave me a bonus, and then once I was in, and they're like, well, no, this guy's like an everyday player for us. He's in the starting lineup. So
yeah.
they gave me like, not a max deal, but like, yeah, they gave
Mhm.
me a better deal. And then that was it. So I don't really care that people know or anything. It's not like it was
Yeah.
bad money. It's probably a lot more than people thought I was making. I don't think people think that I was making like $200,000 for the last few years or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made pretty good money there. It was fine.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
still follow you on social media.
Dude. My bad, man. Let me keep my cool real quick. Or should I?
Yeah. So
Cool.
to answer your friend's question, the very first one was like 75-80,000. And I ended up making like 100-150 maybe or something for that
Okay.
year.
Yeah, I was about
Yeah.
to say right now too. It's like, yeah, I mean, at least what I see, I don't think wrestlers ever like actually say how much they make. Like you said, it's kind of secretive, or people.
Yeah, they're super secretive.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's what I thought. I was like,
Fuck
I
them.
think
I
you'd
don't
answer.
care. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
Well, hopefully, me as a fan, I hope you have still. Hoping you still have many more years of wrestling down the road. But is there anything that you think you need to like accomplish or do to like be satisfied, like when it's all said and done?
No, not really. I mean, everything that was on my bucket list for the most part, I did by the time I was 21. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I always really wanted to go to New Japan. I really wanted to go to CMLL, more so than WWE or anything like that. When I first started, I wanted to be a WCW cruiserweight because I was still around at the time. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, 98. And so that was like a realistic goal for me. Like, I want to go to the cruiserweight division there, which is ironic because then I became this like fan of this other cruiserweight division like so much later. But WCW was gone a few years after I started. So, TNA sort of became like their de facto replacement as the alternative company. So then going to TNA was kind of like my WCW, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the X division was kind of like my cruiserweight division. And I was able to win the X division title. So there's a lot of stuff that I was able to do by the time I was 21. I had already wrestled in a WWE ring at that point. I didn't need to be on WrestleMania or anything like that. This past year, I finally did the Super J Cup, which was a big deal for me. That's like, that is my WrestleMania moment, was being in the Super J Cup. That I always wanted to do that ever since I was a kid, because that was such a big influence on me, like expanding what I saw wrestling as, beyond just WWE, because I was a WWF kid growing up. So doing that and being like, having built a resume that's like the same as like a Guerrero and Malenko and Benoit and Jericho, these guys that were my heroes, like, going to New Japan, going to CMLL, going to, AAA, and, ECW is gone, but I did Ring of Honor, so that was kind of like the de facto replacement for ECW. A lot of those fans became Ring of Honor fans. WCW kind of became like TNA in a way. Like TNA became the replacement for that. So like I ended up doing all these things that I saw my heroes do and I wanted to do too. And eventually I ended up in WWE. I got to win a title there, and so there's really nothing. I just want to have fun and support a family. And to be honest, that's all it's ever been ever since I was 23. The last 10 years or so has really just been like just trying to be, a good provider for my loved ones. So
Me as a fan, I still want to see you win that Intercontinental title, man.
I don't know. The new one's kind of ugly. But...
Yeah, yeah. I recently bought the commemorative but the white strap one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recently bought that one because like that one was actually so badass. But yeah, the new one, it's like it's not the greatest.
White one's nice. I'd probably try and get them to unretire the old yellow one that Ultimate Warrior had. The yellow one was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. I mean, we haven't not been in contact ever, so maybe there'll be a day when I go back. But for right now, I just want to go where I'm having fun and I'm, you know, making good money and playing for teams that, you know, want to, you know, play me. You know, I've been playing for a team where they didn't really need that position, to be honest. You know, so now I'm playing on teams that they do want my position and they want me to play it. So for as long as that goes, you know, we'll see. But there's definitely a lot more years ahead. I'm kind of a late bloomer, I guess, physically speaking. So I look young, I guess. Still, I'm blessed with the Asian genetics. So I probably still got 10 more years in these legs. So it'll
that's
be all
right. Who do you still keep in contact with from WWE?
I mean, pretty much everybody that was there before. A lot of the people on the crew, like I was friends with a lot of the people on the cater crew, the ring crew, the stage production, a lot of the ringside crew guys I still talk to, the referees, a lot of them I still talk to, a lot of the guys that I travel with on the road and different people I still talk to. I'll see them when I travel and stuff like that. My best friends from the company, Lindsay Dorado, you know, for example, he's like my best friend in the company. I still talk to him all the time. Probably going to play PlayStation with him after we get off here. Yeah, a lot of the guys I still keep in contact with on all levels, office, all different people.
Okay, cool. And then final thing, man, is starting a family on the agenda anytime soon, or is that not till?
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. It's been on the agenda for years. So hopefully the sooner the better. You got to ask Ari and Blake about that one. She's the one that's gonna have to do the heavy lifting on that one. So.
If you could choose, would you choose like now or when you're probably like in your 40s?
Oh no, I'd rather do it sooner than later. I mean,
okay.
Like especially, you know, especially to have like little ones running around. I'd like them to see what their dad did to, you know, put food on the table before it's gone. You know, I don't want to just be a history book to the kids.
Okay.
You know, and before I get too beat up, I'd like to be able to like, you know, play catch with them and play tag and stuff like that. You know, before my legs are too tired. So
before I let you go, man, I just want to say once again, man, thank you so much, man, dude. Like, again, I've been such a big fan for many years now, and like I said in the beginning, man, they say never meet your heroes, man. Those people are wrong. Like, dude, it's such an honor to meet you, man. It was so cool, man. Like, dude, again, not to be a kiss up or anything, but dude, I have a picture of you on my wall, man. Like, dude, so
say I appreciate it and hope like it's likewise. It's my pleasure. I'm glad to meet you. You know, like I said in the beginning, virtually, but hopefully, you know, the world will right itself and I'll be able to meet you. You know, see you at an event sometime or something like that. But it's been my pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Dude, fun fact, man. I've been a wrestling fan for 16 years, right? I've never seen wrestling live. Can you believe that?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, my parents never saw me wrestle until I was like my second year in WWE. So.
Oh, what? What?
Yeah, they never went to watch me wrestle, or they didn't care or keep tabs on it. They just knew I was gone all the time. So. Finally, I brought my mom to a show at Staples Center or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So,
main
cool. She finally got to see me.
Main reason is because like I suck when it comes to keeping up where the shows are gonna be. Like I love wrestling, dude. I'm a diehard wrestling fan, dude. But as far as keeping up where they're gonna be, I suck at that.
It's a lot to keep up with, and I worked there, and it was hard to keep up with. So there were a lot of days where I only looked at the plane ticket and the time and the gate. I didn't even know what city I was going to. It's hard to keep track sometimes.
Going back to what I said about that photo that I have on my wall, dude, the rest of the pictures of wrestlers that I have on my wall, they're all female, man. So you're the only dude I have on there because again, you're one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, man. So like, dude.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad aesthetic to have, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to bring some diversity to your wall, I guess.
I was on my notebook and I was writing my notes, and my niece comes in and she's like, "What do you do?" She's 7 and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, getting ready for an interview." And I'm like, "Who are you gonna interview?" And I just point at the picture, and I'm like the guy with the purple belt. And like, "Oh, okay." And then she walks away. I'm like,
That's funny. I can't wait for my future kids to do that to me.
Dude, so once again, dude, it was an honor to meet you, dude. Like, this is honestly, bro, this is a dream come true, man. Like, dude, like, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be a kiss up. I'm gonna keep saying that over and over. I'm not trying to be a kiss up, man. But this is literally. I mean, I'm only 22, but I feel like a kid meeting his hero, man. So this is freaking dope, man.
No, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much.
All right, then, man. So thank you once again, man. Hope you have a good day. All right.
All right. For sure, you too.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you. I'll see you.
See ya.
See ya.
All right. So what do you guys think? Am I a kiss up or am I a kiss up? Guys, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you're not already. Subscribe to my podcast on Apple Podcasts, or follow the Rodcast Podcast Show on Spotify. If you guys like this, be sure to let me know by giving this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.